We've got a great guest today, Zach Klein, WSB TV, Channel 2. If you follow sports in Atlanta, you'll see Zach. You'll see him all over the place. He's very invested and has been a great friend of ours. We'll get into it in a little bit with how he got invested in Atlanta United and bought into it. It's been great for us. But Zach, we can't thank you enough. I do have to say we are our good friends at Bullet Bourbon. Darren and I, we're just getting a lot of alcohol sponsors here during these times. I'm not sure why, but I do think they have a really cool cause. Every time you make your own cocktail and post with the hashtag tips from home, they're going to donate $1 to the U.S. Bartenders Guild on top of an initial donation of $500K, which, I do know there's some bartenders that, probably are on hard times right now. So thanks to Bullet. And Zach, when you're done with this, I think I'm going to make a cocktail. I already have one down here that very simple, but I will do the hashtag and make sure we get $1 to the Bartenders Guild. And but Zach, thank you for joining us. Like I said, you've been a good friend for us. I've known you from my Falcons days. We were just talking before we hit record, but my thing that I love for you is you kind of came in, there was kind of an old school sportscasting, genre out there, right? And I think there was an old school sports genre, and you and I kind of came in at the same time and tried to make it a little new school. And I think, Atlanta United's benefited in that. And I think you and WSB have benefited from that. But thanks for coming on, and we really, really appreciate it.
Well, Matt and Darren, thank you so much for having me. I mean, this is an unbelievable opportunity to connect with you guys, connect with your audience, and have Bullet. I mean, is there anything better than that right there? I mean, that's a win-win-win situation for me. I've been here since '08, guys. That was my first year. First year of Matt Ryan and Thomas Dimitroff with the Falcons. That was my first year in Atlanta. As you said in the intro, Matt, this is home. I love it here. I'm a Chicago guy, but this is what it's all about. My family, kids are basically grown up here. They're 15 and 12 right now. And when I came in, I had kind of like the Chicago kind of, northern kind of attitude, a little bit of a swagger. And it was, it was tough at the beginning trying to make myself embrace kind of with the community and the athletes I was dealing with, just because they were used to like this true Southern, quiet, gentleman guy. And we were trying to do fun things, be creative, be out on social media. And it was kind of like, as you said, old school versus new school. It took some time, but I think over time, it's allowed me to kind of resonate with the audience, build relationships, and be authentic. I think that's what broadcasting, at least from my space, is all about. Be who you are off camera, on camera as well. And that's something I always try to do is, listen, man, I get into sports. I'm sure you guys originally started doing sports. Nobody's dying. There's not murders. There's not crazy stuff going on that we see in reality in the real world. You try to have a laugh. You try to have a good time. And I try to have my broadcast and the relationships kind of be a little bit part of that. So fun being with you guys, man. And it's been a great run. And we're just getting started.
Hey, Zach, was there a moment then where you felt like, when you look back on your career in Atlanta, it was like a breakthrough moment for you, where you felt it was an event or something you covered where you thought, that went really well, and I'm starting now to really sort of make myself at home and be part of the landscape here?
Well, the blessing, Darren, of working at Channel 2 is Channel 2, right? It's the #1 ABC station in the country. We're just, and that had nothing to do with, this current generation of broadcasters. I mean, we had the first African-American anchor in the South. We were the first television station in the South. So when I was offered the job, they said, listen, man, I don't need touchdowns and bombs and goals every single play. In the soccer term, kind of, pass it along, find the open man, and then you find your goal. I don't need 80-yard bombs from Matt Ryan. Give me 3 yards, and eventually score. Just don't turn the ball over. Don't make stupid mistakes. So being at Channel 2, there was a lot of visibility early. And kind of like my aha moment was, watching guys like Bobby Cox or Mark Lemke, Chipper Jones as a kid, and then saying, Zach, and like, what? Chipper Jones is calling me by my name? Like Bobby Cox is like, hey, Zach, why don't you come in the dugout and let's talking baseball? He knows my name. So I think early on, having these figures that you looked up to in the broadcast and the sports world, calling you by your first name, that was a big treat. I felt home and welcome and part of the community at that point. But then you get just, from a broadcasting standpoint, there's been so many iconic events with the Braves in the playoffs, what the Falcons were doing, obviously your historic run a few years ago, and just being a part of the grassroots operation from that, when you compass it all, it's been a magical run in Atlanta. As I said earlier, man, I think the city's just getting going. If we were a stock guys, I'm all in on Atlanta and what we're trying to do here.
I thought you were going to mention that memorable sporting performance when you played for our Champions League charity tournament in those early days.
So the first time I met Darren, we mentioned Matt. I hooked up with Matt at the Falcons games. I met Darren. We go and have a pint at a local restaurant. I think I'm in with him. Things are good. He's like, listen, we got a charity thing going on over at the Grady High School in Midtown. I'm like, yeah, I live right around the corner, man. I love you're on my team. So I go there to T and Carlos and a couple other guys. Matt's our goalie. And I got some game. I think I'm pretty good, right? So I'm getting on, and these guys, first of all, for people out there, unless you're down low, you have no idea the physicality of soccer. It is a very physical sport. These are getting after it. And I play in a ton of charity golf tournaments, charity softball things. You're having a little drink at the turn. Man, these guys come out, they're getting in the stance, they're training, they're stretching, they're all ready to go. I'm like, it's for charity, right? And they're like, yeah. So I'm like, all right. So I'm playing a little defense. I don't know how many minutes in, Darren, Matt, you got to find the clip of that. Pass, out of nowhere. My man Darren flies in with the header.
Yeah, we have that.
Dives in, head first. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, that was the most amazing thing I've seen from a president of a team. Head first goal. I'm like, all right, sleeves off. It's time to roll with these guys. These are my type of guys.
That was great. I remember
you missed the part where your shoe broke, though, Zach.
My shoe did break. I hyperextended my knee. It was all worth it, though, because we had Darren headfirst diving in goal, and I'm like, we had who's the woman? She was an All-American soccer player from Virginia. Like, this is a charity team. We were stacked. We had Darren, who had unbelievable skills in Europe. Carlos, the U.S. national team. We had an All-American, and then there's me, like just trying to not tear my knee, which I basically did, and I ripped my shoe. So that was awesome.
It became so competitive in that tournament that I had to retire. I'm not good enough. And I couldn't ask you.
Retire or sacked, I think. Let's drop.
Sacked, retired, whatever you say. And Zach, I couldn't ask you anymore. I'm now going to people that are like former Brazilian national players and played for Man U just so we can win this tournament. And
so you saved the penalty kick. Remember the penalty kick you saved? Yeah. You saved the PK, and he played it all cool and everything. It was awesome.
It's the most nervous day because I'm kind of I've been sacked, but then hired back as the coach, and sacked and hired back as the coach. But it is one of the more nerve-wracking days because you're like, if we don't get first place, I'm gonna let this guy down so bad, and I get and he's just gonna kill me for the next year. So I do stack the team now with. We even made some USL guys. They're really good players. But they were in Tampa, Florida, the night before, and so their flight wasn't gonna take off in time to get them back to play on our team. And so we're like, we'll just ride with in the equipment van when they leave, so you can play on our team. So I did say last episode, Darren and we can bring you and some other people on. Just the old school days of Atlanta United are some of the best stories ever. With
that was great. And by the way, my invitation. You guys won the title. So I was a part of that squad. We won it all. I haven't been invited back. What did I do to get kicked off this team? Or just a level of competition?
Me neither. I've been sacked off the team.
Zach, what we'll have to do, we'll have to have a reunion dinner.
Done. I'm in.
I did want to say, I think one of my favorite moments in building the club was I was like, Darren, there's someone I want to introduce you to, Zach Klein, and Elena Sismarek. She, director of our comms department. The four of us went on a Friday night and introduced and kind of, shared, Zach, you shared kind of your stories from Atlanta and what you've been seeing and what you would want from us. And we kind of shared our vision and it's kind of cool because, I don't even know how many years that was. It's probably 5 years now. 5 years later, it's kind of cool that it's kind of come to fruition,
Where do we have those? I remember there's a few.
I was trying to think of it today. I cannot remember where we went.
We went to off of Piedmont. There was a pub, Terminus. Yeah, something over there. I think that's what it
was one of those
That was
nights
great.
where you come home to the missus. Yeah, it was a really important meeting.
Yeah,
So
the work meeting, man. Yeah.
That's what I did.
We need
Work
more of
meeting.
those.
And I had to Uber home.
Yeah.
It was good. But Zach, how is we like to ask, how is quarantine life for you? One of my favorite things. You're a good follow on social. I know things have changed. Like, I mean, a few questions I had was, what do you do with when there's no sports and doing a sportscast? I think covering this time differently, but my favorite part following you is seeing your son being your cameraman at your house. Like, how is that working?
It's been amazing. So my son is 12. His name is Carter. He's going into 7th grade here at Inman Middle School. He's my camera guy. So basically they turned my office in here and outside into basically a portable television production truck. I got cameras, I got lights, I got these live view backpacks. Let us go live anywhere over the world. So I'm going live in the backyard. And the first day he gets up there, I'm trying to tell him how to white balance and zoom in and do this. And it's probably taking 15 minutes. We're about to miss our hit. But as of right now, he's like, Dad, when do you need me? 6:20. He comes down at 6:19, hits one button, zooms in there, and then we're ready to go. So that's been a lot of fun just to see him interact, obviously doing a ton of Zoom calls. And I want to thank you guys in Atlanta United and Winkler, your communication staff, and Darren for what you guys are doing, because we can't get out to the practices. We can't interview with the athletes. And Atlanta United, far and away, has been the number one source of appreciation and working with us in the media. You guys are shooting these interviews. You're grabbing video from the individual trainings. And it's been such an asset to us in the broadcast industry, because the content right now, it's diminished, right? Every night we'd have, all right, I have United practice in the morning. I got Braves live shot at 5. I got Braves game tonight. I got Hawks game. That's all gone. So I just want to give you a quick shout out for you guys hooking us up these last month. It's been awesome. Sun's been a huge thing. The content's been great, guys. But far and away, the number one thing that has happened in the last 2 months is that my chocolate lab Chewy has become a global phenomenon. Times are tough. Things are not great. But I believe if you can get a big fat chocolate lab live on TV, it puts a smile on people's face. So every time I'm live outside, I try to get my dog, Chewbacca, in the live shot. I'm going to try to share something with you guys. You just say I can't share a screen.
Send it. We'll put it on in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got clips. So he just hangs out there, and I get between 20 and 50 tweets, 5 emails at least every single day saying, thanks for having your dog out there. It's a lot of fun. Put in there, like, I don't watch sports at all. I have no idea who you are, but your lab is awesome. We watch every day. I didn't hear a word you said because I'm looking at your dog. So it's been a lot of fun. You'll see the pictures of Chewy in the video, just him hanging out.
So we might have to do a spin-off show then. Spike and Chewy could do a spin-off.
We got to get Spike and Chewy together. We got to get Spike and Chewy together. We have to.
Labs rule. Choo-choo. We'll get him in here. He'll come in.
We should definitely get Spike with Chewy on a live shot. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Jack, what do you think, talking about, no sports and, doing Zooms and live shots from your home, where do you see sports going right now?
Well, we've seen NASCAR come back, guys. We've seen golf on the horizon coming back in mid-June. The thing is with baseball, with MLS and the NFL, those are the sports we're kind of paying attention to right now. And obviously the NBA, NHL is coming back with no regular season. They're going straight into playoffs. I think that's the direction the NBA is heading as well. Baseball's tricky, right? I mean, and you just, we've seen time and time again that when you have 30 to 35 million people out of work, they do not care about players complaining about salary. And I've talked to a lot of your guys. I've talked to a lot of the Braves and a lot of the Hawks. They're in a no-win situation, right? Because they're sacrificing health and family and doing this, but they just can't talk about it publicly because all the owners are doing, they're just sitting back, they're being quiet, and they're letting those players' leaks hurt themselves. You're supposed to be making $30 million a year this year in a prorated reduced salary. You're only making $7 million. It's a sacrifice. It sucks. It's not ideal, but go tell that to the bartenders who are trying to hook up on this show or the other millions of people that's out of work. You just can't win. Baseball, the Players Association, they need to keep their mouth shut. They need to get it going. And then hopefully Matt, Darren, July 4th weekend, that week we see baseball back and get back into a normal sense of sports, but it's never going to be normal for the rest of 2020 until we have a cure, I believe. We're not going to see fans in the stands to what we're used to. I just can't see, here we are at the end of May, and then in a month from now having fans at a baseball game. I just don't see it. I know it's so important to your game, and that's what I love about Atlanta United. You asked me earlier when I fell in love with your club. It was when you guys announced your name. It was the guy when you announced your kit, the energy, the passion. I fell in love covering your sport, Darren. I remember hooking up with you live pregame at Bobby Dodd Stadium, doing early news hits, coming down there, and the energy that night was just a glorious scene. So I need sports back. It is what I do. I love it, and hopefully it's just right around the corner, guys.
Yeah, thanks for what you said, Zach, about the content that we're providing. I mean, I think it's been interesting, as a club, because we tried to grow it from scratch. I think we've had that sense and that connection with the media and with you guys in terms of trying to think about how we can help you out, because we can't take it for granted that we get this coverage. We need to earn it. Hopefully now we're going to get small group training that's due to start in a couple of days, then hopefully team training. So it'll get a little bit more interesting as we build up to getting back to playing. But yeah, appreciate what you guys do for us.
I told you, I think one of the early moments when I met Matt and obviously hooked up with Darren is that, we're not fake news, right? We're just trying to do a job, and our job is to connect the beautiful game, which is soccer, with the audience that loves it, and what we can do to tell stories. We're in the storytelling business, right? And there's so many great personalities on the field and off the field for you guys that should be out there. So again, thanks for working with us. Thanks for getting that content out. And I know our audience really appreciates it, as do I.
So quickly, I love the backdrop. So Beatles, I like that in the background there.
Yes. Guys, we got Beatles, #1 group of all time. Huge fan of them. Atlanta Thrashers jersey. They sent that when I first moved here in 2008. Obviously, you got the 5-stripe scarf. Love that. Falcons' new uniform right there. Little Miles Davis, little Jazz fan. Falcons sent this over WSB Channel 2. Just happened to be Matt Ryan's jersey number. I got that. 2007 was my first Augusta trip when I was working in Orlando at the time. This is a cool story here, guys. This flag right here, if you could see that is an Atlanta Braves flag that flew atop Wrigley Field. If you've ever been to Wrigley Field, one of the great ballparks in all of baseball, they have the flags at top. And my dad got that at a charity auction when we moved to Atlanta. He won a Atlanta Braves flag when they were in first place that once flew atop the Wrigley Field flagpoles. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Hey, Zach, did you cover Thrashers? When did they leave?
Yeah, they left 2010, 11-ish. So yeah, my first couple years, Premier League soccer, amazing. What you guys won with the MLS Cup, amazing. Game 6, Game 7, awesome in baseball. Super Bowl, great. But in my humble opinion, nothing beats playoff hockey. When the Lightning, would you agree?
I was thinking, I think Thrashers hockey, if they had done it right, could have rivaled Atlanta United, like the atmosphere.
Without question. Yeah. They just never won a playoff game in the history of their existence in Atlanta. I got to cover the Lightning when they won the Stanley Cup, Game 7. It's Darren, have you been to a hockey game, a playoff hockey game?
Not a playoff game, no. I've been to a couple of regular seasons. But
it's great. So playoff hockey, but they just sucked. They didn't do anything. They didn't win. They had no connection really with the community here. They just kind of did their job, went home. Obviously, so many guys from not this area, not these parts, and I think that was a big disconnect. So I think part of your blueprint was a 180 of theirs, right? You really embraced the community. You got everybody in. You guys were grassroots organization from the jump, and that bond was developed so early on. Thus, I think it led to a lot of your success. And what do you know? You fill up, you win some more, you win everything. The building blocks kept on going and going. So it was really cool to see. But yeah, Thrashers were fun when I was here, but didn't last.
Yeah, it was one of my more favorite sporting events to go to. I couldn't get enough, and we may have to put I don't know if we'll put it on this podcast, but mine, I did get to do the stake rapid roll race where I ran around the a couple of times. So it was good, and the Thrasher mascot hit me, and it was great. But hey, Zach, that's a good segue. Stadiums. It's kind of one of our topics on this show too. What are some of the best? We kind of like to love your first stadium, your best stadium, your favorite stadium, and then maybe we've done last stadium as well, and that might be MBS for you. But
yeah, so growing up in Chicago, guys, obviously, there's nothing like an afternoon at Wrigley when it's June. They could be, 50 games below 500 or 50 games above 500. It's still an unbelievable atmosphere just being out at Wrigley. Growing up at the old Chicago Stadium. So, Darren, I don't know if you remember any of these names. So we had an indoor soccer team. It wasn't MLS, it was an indoor soccer team. It was the Chicago Sting. We went, and they were sold out, 17,000 strong at the old Chicago Stadium. Pato Marhetic, some of these old – I'm drawing a blank on some of these names. We would go as a kid. It was awesome. Indoor soccer at the old Chicago Stadium was amazing. Seeing hockey at the Chicago Stadium. I saw so many Bulls games at the old Chicago Stadium. So that was probably my best stadium experience. Fenway, Wrigley, the Rose Bowl out west have been amazing. Obviously, it's not a stadium, but Augusta National, covering an event there, not too shabby as well. Of some of the more recent venues, Seattle, ballpark out west, where the Seattle Mariners play, is a really cool stadium. Not a big fan of some of the newer ballparks other than that in baseball. But there's some really cool venues out there. Some of the great college stadiums, you go to Bryant Denny, you go to Stanford Stadium in Athens. A lot of really cool things. But I think the old Chicago Stadium, Matt, would probably be my favorite because, it was built in the 1920s in Chicago where everybody was smaller, right? They were smaller in height and they were smaller in size. So the seats were like this. So you're literally sitting right next to somebody. So the energy of the building kind of fed through everybody there. So when, Jordan got it going back in the day in the early 90s and the Chicago Sting, it was just the Madhouse on Madison. That's what they called it. And it was there for a reason.
So obviously being from Chicago, you've been watching Last Dance, have you, Zach?
Yeah, Last Dance has been sick. I was at the Shrug game when Michael did that. I was at that game. My buddy hooked me up. We were in the front row, and I thought he was doing this to me, like, hey, Z, I hit another jumper. What are you going to do? But I thought it was great. And, I sold shoes at Athlete's Foot. It was one of my first jobs. You just couldn't get enough of Michael Jordan. Everywhere you went, it was Jordan, Jordan, Jordan. He was bigger than life in the city. And I think you saw the documentary, the competitiveness in him. And a great story, if we got time, about Jordan. He was really into clothes, which you guys saw there. So one of my dad's best friends owned a really, really nice men's clothing store in Chicago called Bigsby and Carruthers. We're talking like Xenia, Armani, Brioni, and Jordan would go in there and he developed a relationship with the owner of the store. So my dad gets a call and he's like, hey, you want to go play poker with MJ? And my dad's like, well, I don't have tickets to the game. I don't know where Michael lives, but yeah, if you're offering, I'm in. So he's like, yeah, we're going to the game tonight. We're going to go play poker with Jordan. So game ends, they get in their cars, and they're going to Jordan's house. Well, the problem is, Jordan's in his probably Ferrari going 100, miles an hour on the highway. And there's my dad's car, another guy. So they get pulled over, right? So my dad pulls over, and the buddy who he knows how to get to Jordan's house pulls over as well. Cop knocks on my dad's window. Sir, is there a reason you're going 95? He's like, I tell you, but you wouldn't believe it. So the cop's like, try me. So my dad's like, I'm going to Michael Jordan's house to play poker. Cop's like, yeah, driver's license and registration here. Yeah, I don't believe a word you're saying. He's like, but what about the car in front of you? He's like, yeah, that's how I'm getting to Jordan's house. I don't know where he lives. But the cop's like, I'll be right back. So he walks over to the car in front of him, comes back to my dad's house. He's like, go get him tonight. Have fun playing poker. And he lets my dad out of the car. So they go to Jordan's house, right? So it's my dad, the guy who owns the clothing store. It's Jordan. It's Jack Haley. And there's another Tim something or other from like the Police Academy movies. There's an actor there. So they're having a drink. Jordan's firing up a cigar. And my dad was warned. He's like, first thing Jordan does, gets in his back pocket, even though they weren't, takes out a stack of hundreds this big, wrapped in a rubber band, slams it on the desk and goes, let's play. But like what we saw in the Last Dance, like he's trying to psych you out. He's trying to get you off your game. Even though they weren't playing for that money, he wanted to let you know that like it's go time, right? So they're playing a lot of like pot games, a lot of pot limit games and call games. So Jack Haley's just killing it, right? He was like the scrub I think you saw on the bench for these Last Dance. Yeah. If you needed like a 2 of diamonds, 2 of diamonds came. If you needed like a 7 of clubs, he was talking and talking. So what happens when you get under Jordan's skin, right? He starts fuming. So finally, Jack Haley hits another pot. It was like my dad was telling me it was like a $1,500 pot. Jack hits it and starts talking to Mike. Mike, you better stay to your game, man, because I own the poker game, and you better stick to your day job. So Jordan has enough. He's like, He's like, I'm done. He's like, Jack, enjoy the money now. You're cut on Monday. And Haley's like, what? He's like, Jordan couldn't keep his mouth shut. He knew he was cut, but he couldn't. He had to get the last dagger in. He had to, like, you know what? Take your money now. Get your ass back to where you go because you're cut on Monday. And Jack's like, nah. And Jordan's like, no, I'm serious. So he always had to get the last laugh. He always had to get the last pick. So it was fun seeing those competitive stories with MJ because I got to see him obviously in a different light as a fan, then interning at different radio stations and TV stations in Chicago in the mid-'90s. Got to see him as a fan and as a young broadcaster, and then through the stories my dad and fellow friends of his would tell. It's pretty cool.
Funny you say that thing about the Ferrari. Darren and I had the privilege of going to a really nice golf course with Mr. Blank, and we're in the Darren was in the good pairing. I was in the second.
The scrub pairing.
Scrub pairing. But you hear this. It sounded like I was at a racetrack, right? I mean, it was like the loudest car you've ever heard. I'm like, what is that? Like, oh yeah, Jordan just finished up 18 holes. He's leaving with his Ferrari.
In and out, man. Oh, such good. I mean, he's a legend. He's the GOAT. I mean,
yeah, no, it's been fun to watch. The Lance one's been good too. That's
yeah.
a whole different story. But
do you guys, Darren, do you see anybody in your experience, whether it's in the Premier League or with your guys right now, that have that kind of like, F you, get out of my way, it's winning. I don't care if you like me now or hate me now. I am here to win. Is there anybody at that Jordan level you've seen in your travels and experiences?
I think personality-wise, I mean, the interesting with basketball is a little bit different to soccer, where one person can carry a team. I mean, ultimately, Jordan on his own, was able to take that team and make them champions. I think nowadays with a soccer team, you've got to be a little bit more bring people with you. I'm not sure you could have quite the aggressive attitude that he had. But look, Joseph, I think, has got similar qualities to Michael.
Yeah.
Joseph is very focused on the result, how we get on. Even if he scores 4 and he misses 1, he's upset about missing that one, and he doesn't want to sort of have people around him coasting, which forces others to step up their game. So I think, he's someone that was like that. I think there's been players in the past, someone like a Roy Keane at Manchester United, I think one of the best captains there's been. He sort of had that Jordan fear-like element where he was the big personality in that locker room. And as a player, you were not going to want to let him down. So that forced you to up your game because you knew you were going to get a chewing out by Roy Keane if you didn't put the tackles in or do the work. So, it's really been fascinating for me to see some of those parallels from the Jordan era, because I sort of missed that era as he came through, but I've been amazed at how focused. And the bit for me, we've been sort of talking about it internally, is the younger Jordan. Like, it's the same with Messi, same with Ronaldo. There's a preconception that people are naturally talented and they just become these superstar players. But you've got to earn that right to be a Ronaldo who's, 30 years old and doing what he's done. In his younger days, when he was 17 at Manchester United, he was there first at practice, last to get away. It didn't happen overnight. It was all of that work and hard work. Same with Messi. They didn't just instantly become superstars. But I think the danger is you see them and you think, oh, it's easy. I just have to sort of be naturally talented. And you saw that with Jordan. I mean, he worked harder than anyone to get to where he got to. It wasn't just because he had natural talent. Yeah, he had the talent, but you've got to have that personality and drive to push yourself. Otherwise, you'll just be another one of those average players.
Yeah, well said. I mean, I think there's so many amazing athletes out there that don't have the work ethic. And there's so many that have the work ethic but don't have that God-given natural athletic ability. But when you get the combination of both, you get the Hall of Famers.
Yeah, Jack, I was going to say, just my time with Falcons and United, Joseph absolutely has that mindset. I mean, and you watch him in practice, and it's no different than, you know, he doesn't take anything off. I mean, he goes for it, like wants to win the drill, gets mad even in practice when he misses. The other one that I thought of was Roddy White, and I think, like you said, when you kind of figure out that you have that God-given talent, and then you put it all together. He reminds me a lot of Joseph as well. I mean, I know Jordan's on a different planet, but those are two that remind when I think of who reminds me most of Jordan, that has that mentality and the talent. Those are the two that come to mind for me.
And Matt, I think it's interesting, Zach. I mean, we're talking about individuals, but I do think you can have institutional behavior that is trying to get the best out of what you've got. And so we were joking about our charity tournament and trying to win that. But for me, like Franco Escobar recently won. I've got the magnificent trophy here behind me, but the EMLS sports competition that we won, I mean, Franco was out to win that, you know, because he's representing Atlanta United. That's what we want to do. Mesa, our new centre back, was doing an interview last week, and they were talking about the possibility that's been in the public domain of playing in Orlando for this sort of kickoff tournament. And he was saying, look, you know, we're going to approach that and we want to win it, because that's what being at Atlanta United is about. And I do think that part of it's a mindset as well, that you can sort of generate in your club that, you know, this is what we're going to do. You can't rest on your laurels. A little bit like Jordan would be saying to his teammates, look, you know, we've got to go for the sixth because we've got a chance to win it. That sort of mentality that we want to have and foster here at Atlanta United. So it really pleases me when I see sort of Franco throw his remote control because he lets a late goal in, because I think that's something that shows that passion and desire that we want.
Yeah, it's a winning culture, right? And then we have it here at Channel 2. We just try to, you know, work hard, work smart, be the best, and, you know, kick ass and take names. And I think, you know, sometimes it works. You know, sometimes you're throwing the remote control because you lost and it doesn't. You lose a ratings period, but it starts from the top. It starts with leadership. And I think, you know, I think that was the interesting dichotomy in going back to the Last Dance, is you had that Jordan at that elite level, and then you had the Jerry Krause saying, you know, that the organizations that win championships, and not giving the players credit, where it's got to be, it's no doubt in my mind, in dealing with both players and obviously front office, it's that marriage, right? It's a happy medium with both. They might not get along, but you got to respect one another to have that common goal. And if you have that common goal of just crushing everybody and winning, I think in the end, when you combine both, great athletes, great culture, great front office, you get banners and championships.
That's great stuff. Great stuff. Well, Zach, we've taken even more of your time than we told you we would. And yeah, like we said, you've been in it from the beginning. We can confirm that. That dinner, probably more drinks than dinner, that we don't remember where we went, kind of can sum that up. But can't thank you enough for you and and WSB and Channel 2, your coverage for our team. You guys are out there a lot, and we see it every game. You guys travel, you cover it, and you know, you've been a great friend and a great you know, partner for us. So we really appreciate it, and we can't thank you enough for coming on. And I'll have one of these on your way. All right.
Much love, guys. I appreciate all that you do for our community, for our city, for having a winning culture and a winning team. You know, listen, there's nothing more depressing than covering losers in this profession. And you guys from the jump have not been nothing but accessible, accommodating, freaking win, man. It's fun. It's fun to have the energy. I miss the people. I miss Mercedes-Benz Stadium rocking with 70,000. We did a story the other day about the, you know, top 10 most attended games in MLS history. All 10 were with you guys. So we did get that back going, man. Much love to you and everybody at Atlanta United. Appreciate what you guys do, again, in the community and on the sports front as well. Continued success, and hope to see you guys at a game pretty soon.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. You and the family stay safe, and we'll go and get some beers fairly soon.
Yeah, and hey,
definitely, guys.
I might have to hire your son. He knows how to white balance already.
So you got a heads up on a few of your guys. No,
no, thanks, Zach. All right, Zach, I really appreciate it, and we'll let you leave, and I'll do this cocktail challenge thing with Darren.
Good stuff, man. Thanks,
Zach.
All right, thanks, Zach.
A couple of clips of Chewy and a couple of pictures.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Do that.
If you can send me a picture of Chewy, and then if you don't mind that your kid filming, that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, and Zach,
Yeah.
the Thrashers and Matt on the ice at the Thrashers, you've given us the perfect intro to next week. We'll have to do the mascot story, Matt,
Yeah.
of when I was third place in the Huntington Grand National Mascot
That'll be
Race.
good. That'll be good.
That was good. And I know you got the video of the dive, right?
Yeah,
we'll
I
dig
got
that one out.
that. We definitely got that.
So good.
When Darren's face is redder than a tomato. Yeah.
He got low, man. I mean, he's not like a spry young chicken. Motherfucker got. I mean, he just got. He was like a swan dive, like in there. I mean, it was. That should be my screensaver or something like that.
Yeah, well, we got that for this. That'll be good.
Then I remember that. I think I went to his like Wikipedia page. Darren, plates. I'm like, man, he does got some game, man.
Yeah. He's good. He's good. He's a good player.
It was all the cross
Awesome.
from Carlos.
That was a great cross, that it was. All right, guys, good stuff.
All right, thanks, Doc. I'll let you ahead.
Be safe.
All right.
Be safe, and when the shit ends, let's all get together.
All right. See you, man.
See you guys.
All right, so we'll probably have to beat that F-bomb in the Jordan story, right? You think?
Oh, is there an F-bomb?
Yeah.
Just beep it, though. That'll be quite good.
Yeah, we'll beep it. We'll just have Mike beep it. That's fine. It's a good story. All right, ready to do this? We went really long. We're at a good time, so let's do this cocktail challenge. I'll just do it. I made it. Mine's stupid, but whatever.
Go for it.
All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, can't thank Zach enough for joining us on Spiked Up. Good stuff. I mean, and Darren, you know, he is. They are the biggest station, and they did invest in us. It has been a fun partnership with them to see how they cover us and have invested in Atlanta United.
Now they're great. It's like 92.9 The Game, isn't it? They were there before we were getting the crowds
And
and
Fox
the
Sports
success.
South. And Fox Sports South. Yep. Yeah, no, it's been good. Real quick, before we end, like I said, we're going to do the bullet tips from home. Tips from home is trying to put bartenders to work by creating at-home drink recipes. And every time someone posts their own cocktail from Tips from Home, hashtag Tips from Home, they'll donate $1 to the Bartenders Guild, and they've already done an initial donation of $500K. So I think, you know, you and I have missed a few bartenders during this time because we would have been traveling and probably had a victory drink at a hotel here and there. And, you know, you do feel for them. So it's a great cause by our good friends at Bullet. Darren, I said I would take care of this one. I went simple. You know, I think this stuff is good enough where you just need it on the rocks, a little bit of water, and that is my cocktail. And I will do the hashtag when we retweet this podcast. So
cheers. I've got my empty glass, but I'll have a little tipple later on.
Cheers to Bullet and all the bartenders out there. You know, we'll do what we can for you, and you know, thanks for a great cause.
And hey, Matt, I think for next week's show, I like the idea of Zach mentioning and you talking about you going on the Thrashers ice in a mascot race, and I want to tell my story of my time that I was the Histon Hound. So
yeah,
I'll save that one back for next week.
And if you can call Arthur, there is another video out there that could be shown of a mascot. Just throwing it out there. All right.
We shall see. We'll keep the listeners waiting, but that is one, if we could get it, that would be worth its weight in gold.
Yeah. All right. Well, Darren, thanks again. Another great episode. Thanks again to Zach. That was a lot of fun. So, like I said, stay safe. We'll talk to you soon.